Have you ever noticed how the ads in your Google searches seem to correspond perfectly to your interests? What about suggested buys on Amazon? Whether you know it or not, companies like Facebook or Google probably know more about your interests than some of your friends. However, this information can be used to help ensure the public's safety, as well as facilitate and improve services for consumers. Is this a violation of basic human privacy or a necessary and convenient procedure? For the purposes of this video, we'll define privacy as the ability to control access to our personal information and activities, as well as having the freedom to conceal aspects of ourselves from others. As technology and communications improved, they became more useful for illicit use as well as legitimate uses. Because of this, the monitoring of communication technology increased, and privacy issues are a much bigger problem than they were in the past. People who argue for the protection of their privacy are often people who wish to be able to choose the people with whom they share their activities on the internet or over the phone. Typically, entities who support increased monitoring and collection of data sent through these communications networks are companies or organizations who wish to gain information about users for various purposes, including targeted advertising or changing the order of search results in order to prioritize subjects in which the user is interested. Government or law enforcement entities also typically support increased collection of user data, as it allows them to easily profile and determine which users might be performing illegal or suspicious activities. In order to both maintain the privacy of users and the security of the population, laws and regulations need to be made that are more specific in when they allow government agencies and corporations to view your personal data. This would help ensure that users' privacy is maintained while still allowing the tracking of communications information to help with law enforcement and security. In some societies, privacy is highly valued and respected, while in others, it can be a less important part of daily life. For example, in Finland, most people give strangers a large amount of personal space, and therefore a large amount of personal privacy. However, in places like China or India, the population density necessitates a less intense focus on privacy and personal space, and it is therefore a less important part of their culture. Arguments for increased surveillance include increased convenience for consumers. For example, tracking what kind of items a user browses on Amazon can lead to relevant suggested buys and may result in saved time for them. One more big advantage of increased surveillance is the increased security and decreased crime that goes with it. If communications are being closely monitored, it would be harder to organize illegal activities without being detected. For example, September 11th was a sophisticated plan organized by a small group of people without being detected by authorities, and was an event that could have been predicted or even stopped if there was sufficient surveillance. Privacy is a basic impulse for all living things. Even animals seek out moments of individual seclusion or small group intimacy. Privacy allows us to exist without being judged by others and reduces the pressure placed on us to behave in certain ways. Online information is stored indefinitely and can be used in unwelcome or unexpected ways in the future, such as a court case against you. Even if you think you don't have anything to hide, your life may be influenced by surveillance and monitoring. For example, a Target store in Minnesota predicted that a teenage girl was pregnant based on her recent purchases, then sent her coupons for baby products. Her father had no idea. Target knew that she was pregnant before her own parents did. The main bill governing internet privacy, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, was passed in 1986, and many of its key provisions are out of date or inadequate. For example, it states that any emails stored on servers longer than 6 months are considered abandoned. Nowadays, nearly no one downloads emails. This does nothing to stop companies from tracking your information and profiling you. If surveillance is allowed to an extreme extent, it could take away from the power of the people and as well as free speech. For example, the government can monitor and determine who had negative views towards them. Using this information, the worst possible outcome from this reduction in privacy would be more dictator-like control and censorship from the government, such as China's internet censorship. Unlike Canada, China's internet is strictly monitored and controlled, and websites which contain potentially sensitive information about the government are blocked from normal access. For example, searching Tiananmen Square massacre will not return any relevant results about the 1989 protest. The surveillance of communications can also be ethically questionable. Much of the population is unaware of many of the important events that influence their online privacy. In 2011 and 2012, the Stop Online Piracy Act, SOPA, and Protect IP Act, PIPA, were proposed to Congress. There was a huge backlash from the internet community about the event, with hundreds of websites even stopping service in order to spread awareness during an internet blackout. However, in a class of 17 grade 10 and 11 students who were surveyed in 2015 about internet privacy, only 47% remembered hearing about the bills. This is not due to a lack of concern for their privacy. In the same survey, they rated their value for their privacy of their personal communications on a scale from 1 to 10 at a median of 7. Overall, the lack of public awareness about this issue raises questions on whether or not a user's activity should be tracked. Privacy is a hugely controversial issue, largely due to the debate on whether security or confidentiality is more important. While more strict monitoring of activity and communications both in real life and online can help improve security and reduce crime, it goes against a primal human impulse and can be used in ways that restrain free speech.